Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. I'm your host, Haven, and today I'm curious. Are you a good dad? Are you a good dad? That question has been sitting with me a lot because within my mom friends, I've heard from time to time, I wonder if I'm a good mom. And they, the parenting experts are like, if you're the type of mom that's going to ask that question, you probably are because you care and you're looking forward to being better and what you can improve on. But as I was thinking about it, I just don't hear that same kind of reflection from dads. Am I being a good dad? Am I a good dad? And then I thought there's so many different ways we can even unpack that question. What does a good dad look like? How do you determine that? Is that a question that ultimately only your kids and only when they're grown can answer? Because if you think about it, someone who may be a good dad will frustrate their kids at time to time, Or maybe someone who is not a good dad, but their kid idolizes them and only when they grow up determines that. How do we even justify what the concept of a good dad is? Is it just I didn't rage and yell on my kids? Or was it, I was there and I was present and I provided? There's so many different aspects of how you would even determine that. So for this episode, I wanted to bring in someone and I was thinking, okay, who is not only just a good dad, who is, in my point of view, an amazing dad. And this is someone that I've actually wanted to have on the podcast for a while. And so the fact that he's on my couch, I'm so excited. Every time I leave a conversation with him, I'm thinking about something differently. And I have the feeling that you will be as well. So will you help me welcome Albert?
Oh my gosh. Hello.
The crowd is like, woo, yeah.
I tell you what, Haven, it is an honor to be here, and I am so excited. We have, like you said, we have been in conversations just here and there, but for us to actually have a time to sit and, dive into this question is something that I was hesitant about before, but now I am in a space where I would love to have this conversation.
Yeah. So before, it was probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
And every time I see you, we have some type of interesting interaction. I enjoy it. I leave with it's a thoughtful one. You're not type of person to do a throwaway conversation.
No,
you're someone who's going to look you in the eyes and actually ask a thoughtful question. And we were in a coffee shop. We were having some fascinating conversation even about this. And I was like, Albert, would you ever come on and talk about fatherhood? I was like, is that something that you would ever be open to? And you gave a very soft maybe. There was no commitment.
No, absolutely. I remember saying, sure, in that tone. Yeah.
And I felt that in
sure.
that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lob it over. I was like, okay. I said, so if we're going to move forward and if you want to do it, you send me some times at work and we'll follow up. Because I was like, then if he actually is going to want to be interested, because I don't want it to be, where I'm forcing anyone.
Yes.
But then we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year later, I was like, Albert, my premonition came in where I was like, some of the healthiest people in the world are never going to grab a mic. They're never going to film themselves talking. They're never going to put them out there. And those are the type of people and type of friends I want to have on this couch.
Wow.
You would never jockey to be seen, but you're the type of person that I'm going to view as I would love to have more examples in the world. And so you're doing this as a favor. Favor to me. That's a long time coming.
Oh, no, this is great. Like you said, there are so many ways to tackle this issue of fatherhood. And where do you even start? There's so many things. Do you start from a void? Do you start from a negative? Or are you raised on a platform depending on the past examples of fatherhood before, So for those that don't know, I'm Albert. I'm in real estate and I live in the Pasadena area, but more importantly, I am married to an incredible human being named Christine, and we'll be 15 years married this coming September.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah. Something new for her is she is taking the leap, and she is opening up her own pediatric dental practice.
I love her. Christine is also, you've probably heard in my podcast, I've referred to her some conversations from her because, again, she's also the type of person that'll land with you in a moment. And she's a mom who's ahead of me. And so I've asked her things that have literally stuck with me like years and years later. Like, you both are incredible people. And Christine on like the motherhood journey and this entrepreneurial journey. Like, oh, I'm so excited for her. I will take the kids 45 minutes to go to this dentistry to support it. Like, what's twice a year? Who cares?
That's right. Yeah. But actually, thankfully, it's going to be really close. It's in the Pasadena area, and it's set to open hopefully sometime in October. And so that's exciting for her. And I'm so proud of her, and our family's completely behind it. It's about time that she stepped out on her own. We have 2 kids. We have a 12-year-old daughter named Parker, and she is very much about the musical theater life, very comfortable on stage. And sometimes when she's up there, I don't understand where she gets that confidence from, because it definitely didn't come from me or Christine. But she is hoping one day to either be on Broadway or write the musical that will be on Broadway one day.
Maybe both.
We'll
At the
see.
same time, she's amazing. She's like the lead in every school play. Like, she has charisma. I remember her as a 3-year-old, like coming to Mosaic Hollywood with a microphone and going up to the front to sing near the front. And I remember at first you guys were a little like, oh no. And then I think Kim McManus once was like, just let her do it. Like, let her go up. And she was ready for that worship team.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. That infamous or famous red mic that you would bring with her every Sunday. We couldn't leave church without going and grabbing that mic.
Isn't it crazy how kids' personalities come out so early?
Yeah.
So early.
I love that, and we have a 9-year-old son. His name is Hudson, and currently he is into 2 very specific things: 90s NBA basketball.
Interesting twist. 90s.
90s NBA basketball and Lego.
Oh.
Those are the 2
So
things
he's a nostalgic and an engineer.
Correct.
Got it. Cool. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
What is he like? What's the part of the 90s? Is it the Jordan, Shaq, Kobe?
It's probably because of me, and I love watching that on my own. I'll just watch, highlight clips of what it was like to play in the 90s, and he just loves watching it. And more importantly, now he's coming to his own conclusions, and he's saying, I really like that style more than current. And so then he's telling me all the reasons why, and I'm just so proud, nodding my head. Yes, you tell me why.
You know what? It's so interesting you say that, as he likes that because of you. Because even theater, like, I know that Christine knows like Broadway tunes.
Sure.
She's doing stories of them all singing it. You guys are like a Disney family. So I'm like, what is it, shared interest? Is it because it's like your genes and attracted to the same thing? Is it because they love that connection with you? Like, isn't that the family shared hobby and interest is so fascinating?
Yeah, it's vital, I think, and almost essential in our family to have something that our family can come together with. And whether it's golf, the 4 of us took up golf over the pandemic, and Parker was the one that started it. So it's either the 4 of us will go out and play, or if it's something that as simple as singing along to the same songs in the car on the way to anywhere we're going, and just really bonding over shared interest is huge for us. Yeah,
I love that. Okay, I want to go back to the beginning because we're talking about fatherhood.
Okay.
And you know what I was thinking is I met you guys before you were a dad.
That's right.
Isn't that true?
Yes.
So the first, you and Christine, I'll never forget this, in the sense of Aaron and I, we were about to move back to Los Angeles. We were like, man, like, how are we going to have friends? How are we going to meet people? And we were in my friend Mariah's wedding. And so we came to the wedding and everyone was so kind. But even at the reception, you and Christine, who was heavily pregnant at that time, sat down and talked with us for like 20 minutes and were so kind to a couple that you had no idea who they were. They were just in town for the wedding. And I remember literally talking to Aaron. I'm like, if there are people like this here, like, We can do this. Truly, I was like, that couple was so nice. I was like, they just talked to us and like were so excited for us to move here. And I was impacted by just who you guys were even before kids. But then even thinking about this topic, I was like, oh my gosh, like that was before Parker was even born.
Yep.
Which is so crazy, like 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I remember...
I'm going to pause here. And I also realized it was not before you were dad. This was your second kid. I realized that as you were about to answer, I was like, what? I didn't move here 12 years ago. Then I was doing it in my head. It was 9 years. And then I realized you definitely were a dad. It was Hudson. But whatever. Keep going. You know the sentiment of what I'm trying to say.
Yes. No, I remember us just finding our way to the corner of that reception area and just needing a break from either having way too much fun and just dancing. But I remember the four of us just having such a great conversation. And I think the reason why we were so attracted to you both is because you guys just have so much joy and so much peace about you. And Christina and I respond to that. Like we are drawn to that. Mm-hmm. So we love when we're able to find couples that we're able to just really enjoy that moment with. And so we left the same way thinking that couple was so nice, weren't they?
Well, now that we've established you were already a dad, then let's start. My segue is ruined, but tell me a little bit about what informed your fatherhood journey. Like what was kind of ground zero for you?
Sure. Yeah. My earliest thought of fatherhood was from my dad. And it's really, I find that this is very interesting in the dads that I come across now is I thought that the way that my dad was very normal, in the sense that my dad was always there. He never missed a game. And to prove that, he has 8 cases and cases of 8mm camcorder tapes of all of our games. I have 2 brothers. And so all 3 of us have these bins and bins of basketball games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of your 90s highlights. Are these the things that Hudson's watching?
He has seen some, and after 10 minutes, he's like, I'm going to go play basketball. I'm done with that.
Over that.
Yeah.
So your dad was present,
yes,
engaged, invested, and you thought it was normal. When did you realize maybe it's not normal?
I was in a family, just a Sunday dinner with our friends from church. And I remember us going around, and I don't know how fathers came up, our dads came up. And so each person was just starting to share about their dads. And what I was hearing was definitely not what I grew up with. And so when it came to me, when I said, oh yeah, my dad told me that he loved me every day and he was there for all my basketball games, they all kind of just stopped and looked, and they thought, you're kidding, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, that can't be true. And I said, yeah, that's pretty true for me. Mm-hmm. And so I realized, oh, that was special. And I think looking back, I may have taken that for granted, but as a dad now, I see how incredibly valuable that was. Just because to be present in that way showed more than just you showed up. You showed up, my dad showed up, and also with full intention. You don't just go to a game, you're there taping all the moments, and you're there like cheering on. It's incredible now that I look back.
Yeah. And also, like, I think the taping is different. Mm-hmm. It's not just I attended the game.
Sure.
It's I'm going to rewatch this game. I'm going to relive this moment. But, hearing that with your friends going around, how did you feel? Because I think sometimes someone coming from a healthier environment can almost feel a little guilty or be like, I don't want to bring this up because it's going to make someone feel bad or like they didn't have that experience.
Yes. Part of me felt that way. especially the more that I get to know other dads, and hearing their story of whether it's absence or unapproachable or didn't really share many emotions, that uh, when I hear those kinds of backgrounds as their father figure, uh, it makes me realize, okay, if I start, it made me kind of feel, if I start just, hey, my dad was great, a little bit of guilt comes out. But also, I remember talking with one of my friends, and they said, don't be ashamed about that.
Mhm.
It's like you were fortunate enough to be in a home that had a great dad. Don't hide that. He's like, be proud of that, because then that somehow gives hope that it can happen for someone else. And so I don't feel that guilt anymore. I just feel incredibly blessed and proud to know that what I had was special, and it wasn't just like, I wish it was normal,
Mhm.
but I don't have a sense that it was normal.
Yeah, and I love that perspective of like, no, share like proudly about it. I remember asking my mom once, like early on, it's like, a lot of my friends have a lot of like boyfriend troubles. I was like, and I feel bad, like I can't relate. I was like, and not that like we don't have our ups and downs. I was like,
Sure.
it's just not the same. And she
Yeah.
was like, no, she goes, that's like, it's like a beautiful tree that's blooming. Like you want to show other trees that aren't in bloom, it's
Correct.
possible of what it can be. And to hide that, then you only see all these shriveled trees and you don't even know.
Correct.
So I feel like it's like, oh, that's like a tree in bloom. And it's
Mm.
something to celebrate, not hiding the flowers, not hiding the fact that like maybe other trees are struggling, but to celebrate that.
Correct. Yeah, no, I love that. What about you? What informed you as to what you would grow up in, hoping your husband / father of your kids would look like? I mean, what is your experience?
It's such a great question because I'm going to work backwards and
Okay.
say, I really would love to even have my dad on at some point. I thought about that because I was like, I don't want to like force my family members on here because it's like they're all introverts and they're all super shy. But I'm like, I want to bring him on because I've talked about him before of like, as adults, like it's an incredible relationship. He stepped in for our family. Like tonight, the kids are sleeping over at his
Wow.
place, and he
Hey.
does that on Fridays, and he's like involved and in tune like with them. Like it's almost like a night and day from before. So part of me also is like, man, I believe people can change because I've seen my dad do really hard work to become emotionally present. So that's
Wow.
who he is now.
Wow.
But I'll also speak to what happened growing up, where my dad, it felt like he was like a cardboard cutout. Like he was there, like sure, he was there. I don't have a ton of memories.
Okay.
Like he was, you could say he was present, but it wasn't this engaged. I would never go to him for advice. It was always my mom. My mom kind of played the both, where like she was like superstar. Then I don't know if he even had the emotional capability or ability, or I think he just thought, oh, like Lisa's got that. Like that's her domain. So for whatever reason, shrunk back or not in tune. And so I would see other people's dads. And I remember one time, I remember vividly, I was sitting on a plane with mom crying, and I was like, why doesn't dad want to ride bikes with me? I was like, why doesn't he, want to play catch? And maybe this is even the achiever me. I was like, I'm the only girl on the boys' baseball team. And I was like, and I hit a home run, and all the other dads were so proud of me. And I was like, and dad didn't even really notice. Or I was like, the coaches love me. Why doesn't my dad show that? And I know he did in his own way of love, but I was truly I would do these things that I would think would make other dads proud. Like, why can't I get him to notice me or be there? And it just wasn't that. So I kind of grew up with a little tinge of someone with a great dad. I'd be like, what would that be like? That would feel so nice. What if I got to ride a bike with my dad? And God was really, really, really gracious in that he gave me some safe male figures. And I mean safe male figures is because if you have this kind of wound, it's pretty vulnerable.
Sure. Absolutely.
And susceptible. And so I'm so grateful that if I didn't get my plan A of, a dad in house, that at least there were options that didn't inappropriately abuse that vulnerability in me. And so I had safe friends' dads who would play catch with me.
Oh, love that.
I had safe coaches, my youth pastors. I would go to them for all of my male life advice. Like truly, I can list off 5 that had a thumbprint on my life in the sense of like, the silly ways and the deep ways, like in the ways that dads would. Like I remember one time I was talking to my youth pastor, and I think I was like 11 or 12, and I had seen School of Rock and I loved it. And I was like, he wasn't getting something, and I was like, come on, Andy. I was like, read between the lines. And he was like, he just looked at me. He goes, you don't know what that means. And I said, yeah, it does. This is what I'm saying. And you got to read between the lines. He goes, no, Haven, you're giving me the finger. And I was like, what? I was like, I thought this is just a gesture to read between the lines. Excuse me, it's a bit. And he was like, no, it's a way for someone to give someone else the finger. I was like, or one time I had a debate coach where I was frustrated with something. And I was like, whatever, something. I was like, just bite me. To the other opponent, like the mock trial, he goes, okay, Haven, it's a very inappropriate term. He goes, I don't think it means what you think it means. So I graciously had dads like roles who could step in and help me. And most of my stories are just me being super naive, and someone course correcting me in a way that a dad could. But my growing up was you outsource.
I see.
Like I'm going to outsource and find it and crave it and just have this like hunger of like, maybe what I'm having is like a veggie burger. Like it's not a smash burger. It doesn't taste as like satisfying, but it's going to get the job done and it's going to be nourishing. And so I was too young when Aaron and I were together to think about what's he going to be like as a dad or whatever. Like I knew that he was like good with kids or, but I think I was too naive. I guess most of my life I was just super naive to think of how this impacted of like he's gonna go in blind too because he did not have like his dad was pretty absent and if anything like an unsafe unfit parent after his mom passed away, and so he was starting with a void. So I feel like it's 2 people coming together and we're like we know what it feels like to want it and not have it. So I think it's also we both saw the value in different ways.
Yes.
You saw it from having it and being like, oh my gosh, this is rare. And then I didn't have it. And I was like, oh, that's what I want.
And I feel like that is not an uncommon story. In the people that I'm coming across, I'm finding that whether it's good or bad, whether you had a dad that was present or you didn't, they still mark you equally as profound. So it's still equal impact, but does it make you want to emulate or does it make you want to completely veer and go the opposite? A lot of the emotional absence that I see current dads displaying, I have a sense that it's learned behavior. And so I think it's what they grew up with. And so I know somebody, a dad, who says, it's really easy for me to be affectionate to my kids, but not to my wife. And I asked him simply, was your dad affectionate to you and not to your mom? And then for some reason it took a while. And then he said, yeah, you're right. I think that's exactly what happened, is that I got a very, it was easy for my dad to show affection to me, but I didn't see that displayed for my mom. And I think we need to really, as dads, we need to sit back and think, where does our wisdom come from? Is how to be a good dad simply based on past experience? Or is it now through social media? Is it simply scrolling and trying to find profound memes? Like, is that going to be where you get your input from? Is it from other dads that you admire? Is it from church? It depends. It all depends on where you are sourcing your wisdom from? And you have to really take account of that. I think that's a really great first step of figuring out that question, am I a good dad? Is where does your source of wisdom come from?
And I wonder too if it changes in each generation, where like a couple ago would be like, well, my dad like beat me and I will never like hit my kids. But then they were not like emotionally available. And then the next generation, they're not seeing that, oh, my dad really worked hard to not hit me, because that's what he saw growing up. They just saw, oh, my dad was emotionally unavailable.
Yes.
And then this generation, it's like, oh, my dad's emotionally unavailable. Like, and it kind of goes where you pivot and you adjust in one way.
Correct.
And you're really trying hard to either not do what you saw growing up or... So what would you say is almost like, maybe is this generation's like, you don't have to speak for a generation, but like, what do you think is this, the common theme you're hearing dads work through right now, that maybe they saw growing up or they lacked growing up?
Yeah. In the dads that I'm speaking to currently, there's definitely a running theme of just emotional absence. And so it's I am not able to, or it's not second nature for me to share how I'm feeling. And whether that's to your wife or to your kids, they're finding it just difficult to express emotion outwardly. They internalize a lot and they're trying to process life. They're trying to figure that out without anyone else's help. And I think that's the problem with dads today, is that we are taught, or we are almost fed this lie that if you're not handling this on your own, you're not doing a good job, or you're not a good dad. Well, it kind of depends on where you're coming from. If you're coming from a deficit, that's not helpful. Like, to be in a place where you saw unhealthy behavior and now you're just emulating that's not going to change a generation. So I may not speak for a generation, but I will say that the changes that you make as a dad, depending on whether you had an abundance of positive fatherhood examples or a deficit, whatever you do now will change the generation ahead. So it's really important to figure out why you do the things that you do as a dad. You can't just be lazy about it, for lack of a better term. You can't just be lazy about it and say, that's just the way I am, or that's just what I saw. If it's not something that moves your family in the direction that you want it to, you have to be willing to admit that, okay, I am feeling vulnerable, or I'm not as well equipped in this area of my life. I need help. And I want to be able to do this because I want to improve in this area because my family's worth it.
When you say that they're being fed the message that if you can't handle this on your own, something's wrong, I think that's so true. Because I had done a clip talking about like the mental load and what typically mothers carry. And then I got a DM saying, well, as a dad, this is a lot of what I'm experiencing on the mental load. Are we going to talk about it? So I also realized that moms were commenting, dads were DMing. That's what I had noticed too. I was like, dads are not commenting. I thought that was interesting. So then I did a different episode and I brought in a dad. And he was talking about how essentially we, like as men, we do have this internal, like we're not bringing it up, because also when our wives are saying that stuff going on, we don't want to make it like comparing or negate or invalidating what she's going through. Sure. But we just don't share a lot about what we're going through. Sure. We're going through stuff too. And then that part is what went viral online. And it was a dad talking about like his mental load and struggles. I was like reading it off, and the comments from women were so harsh and so like, well, like that's invalidating our stuff. And it was like vitriol. And then men were commenting back of, this is why we don't talk about it. this is why male suicide rates are high.
Mm.
This is why we don't want to share with you, is because this comment section. And that's the one that USA Today picked up on.
Wow.
And they did a whole article. They interviewed us about like the mental load of fatherhood. And the headline or something was like a dad opened up about like the mental load, and then like all hell broke loose or something. Like it was like talking about how these comment sections, when dads bring up what's tough.
Yeah.
So it's you guys must be getting the most mixed messages ever, which is like, be honest, be vulnerable, tell us what's going on. And then you're also, when you're doing that, it's like, well, I'm doing this and I've got this going on. So what is that feeling like to be like a push and pull in the same breath?
I will say that you can live in the space of and. So you can feel all those things and have a way to express it in a way that is healthy. And for me, what I find successful in my family is I won't share to everybody how I'm feeling about something, but I will share with my family how I'm feeling about it. And I think that, and whether it's negative, like stress or anxiety or something, if I'm worried about something, I found it very helpful to identify it early and say, whether we're in the car or find a way where it's just the four of us, I'll say, hey guys, heads up, I'm not feeling all that great. I'm not feeling like 100 today. Just letting you know. It won't excuse anything that if I mess up or whatever, just letting you know that that's how I'm feeling currently. And then they understand. And also, thankfully, I'm very blessed to have a family that would honor that. And they're just like, okay, well, we're going to like try our best, Dad, and just having that space in your family. And there's ways to create that, Haven. I think that to be able to create a space within your family that allows you to be yourself completely. And so be silly. And that's what I love. And I tell this to some of the dads is dad jokes, essential. Essential. Corniness, essential. Dancing, super silly within your household. Those are the things that will make your wife and your kids just relax and just say, if dad's willing to do it, he's not taking himself too seriously, we can do that too. And so it's really just about setting that example. And my wife, Christine Parker Hudson, they'll tell you that I am just out of nowhere, we'll just start dancing like a maniac in our house, or I try to find the corniest jokes, and then I'm going to be so proud to tell them, even though if they bomb, because I want them to know, hey, you can try. Just be yourself. Try new things. Be silly in the safety and the comfort of this home. And you can make mistakes. You can do all the things that you can test things out, but know that it's not going to be met with critique. It's not going to be met with, oh, that's terrible, or something. It's just, this is the healthy release. And I think the more that dads are able to create that sort of space in their house where they find you to be more joyful, laughing more, creating spaces where they can feel that they can do that too, is what I've found to be something that really creates that closeness. And you're able to answer your question, share that mental load, and it not invalidating anyone, because then this is the space where you're able to do that.
I love that, because even that answer, like, it's showing your kids a blueprint of human. You know, we're not always 100 every day.
Correct.
And even developmentally, kids, they take things personally like it's their fault, and if dad's quiet and upset, what did I do? Or, they just, like, I've heard like studies say that like they're just going to assume it's something on them. So if you can vocalize and say this has nothing to do with you. And it's not just dads sharing the stress. It's dads sharing the silly.
Yes.
It's dads sharing the fun and the loose. And you're right. When I think of like You know, when Aaron is in a great mood and he's being silly or whatever, all of us relax.
Yes.
Like it sets a tone of when he is in like one of those like goofy, like, you know, goofball island, to quote like an Inside Out. Like when he's on goofball island, we're all on goofball island. So even what you're sharing of those all feel so practical. So I'm like a granular person. I'm like, oh, I love up in the air, but let's land this plane. I'm also like, what are some of the practical ways that you're exhibiting? And I feel like even exhibiting fatherhood, I feel like it's just being yourself in relation to your family.
Yes.
How are you doing that?
Haven, what's the best part about a fight?
Winning.
Winning?
No, I'm kidding. You don't really win in marital fights.
You can win. I think when you come together in the right way, maybe what you thought was winning isn't winning at all.
I think I know your answer to what your favorite thing about a fight is.
Make up sex afterward?
Okay, maybe I didn't. Anyways, we have created a course called How to Fight Better. It's under our umbrella of Pillow Talk, which is about just conversations that you can have with your spouse. We brought in our actual marriage counselor of 12 years, Dr. Jonathan Cood, to help us and explain the tools that he's been teaching us that have helped us have what we feel like is a really thriving, enjoyable marriage, and one that we're proud of. And so we were like, how can we share these experiences, but also the professional person who taught us how to do this with the world? So you can go to joinpillowtalk.com right now to get How to Fight Better. Okay, back to the episode.
One of the things that I found to be successful for me is I just try to show and display a life that is appealing to my kids and to my wife. Meaning, find a hobby, find something that brings you joy. If you're a dad, it can't just be about providing and work and then coming home and then still thinking about work, unable to detach and thinking that now you can just lay on the couch or whatever because your work out there is done. I understand that that's important and it has a place, but it can't be the only thing. And so for me, it's am I outside of providing? I'm trying to think beyond that. What am I providing? Is it simply income? Am I providing joy? Am I providing attention? Am I providing presence? Am I providing laughter, love? All those things that wrapped up to me is provision. And so when I think, gosh, am I living a life that is appealing to my kids? Well, I'm thinking, do they see me joyful? Do they see me laughing? Will they look back at their dad and say, he never did any of those things? Or will they look back and say, oh gosh, I want the life that dad has because he is just joyful. Even when he's stressed, he is able to just, if I have questions, he's able to just detach from that, sit with me, look me in the eye and say, what's up? What's wrong? How can I help? You know, those are the things that I want to emulate to my kids. Am I doing that? That's a question that I ask myself quite often.
I've never thought about providing outside of income and when it comes in relation to a dad. That to me, you just like unlocked something in my brain. Truly, like, what am I providing to my family? Is it only income? Am I providing joy? Yeah. Am I providing laughter? Like that to me, I guess I've never thought of that, because I do think most dads would be like, my role is provider. And I think what they're talking about is income. Sure. I don't know if they're seeing it in such a holistic way, or sometimes even I think about even just the term wealth. Oftentimes we're thinking about money. I'm like, there's like relational wealth to me is true wealth. Yeah. It is wealth to have a dad, like you said, when you're having a bad day, to sit down, look you in the eye and say, what's going on? Yeah. That to me is wealth. That to me is providing. And so why do we allowing these terms to be defined in such a limited perspective?
Absolutely.
When really the role is so much more integrated and holistic.
Yeah. And to answer your question, to get even more granular, to be a good dad, I think God is so gracious and wise in this way. it's not difficult. I say the requirements of what we are asked to do in terms of leading, I personally feel is not, it's not overbearing. It's not impossible to be a dad, to be a good one. I think it's the choice to have little deposits of just daily goodness. Like if you are just, it's not going to be saved up. If you are, if you're thinking that I'm going to save up and then work all the, every day, and then for 2 weeks we're going to go on this amazing trip to Europe or something around the world or something so grandiose, but without connecting on a daily basis to your family, that trip will mean nothing.
I think that is huge. Where I have a friend, she's a guidance counselor at a really wealthy middle school. And so she was saying that the kids will be like, yeah, we're going on this trip, but I just want to be home. Like, I just want my parents to have dinner with me.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because you look on the outside and you're like, wow, your spring break was amazing. But that's not what they're craving.
Correct.
They're not looking, I mean, don't get me wrong, Europe would be great.
Yeah.
But the thing is it's the people. Like, I don't know about you, if you've ever been around people, it make or breaks an experience. I thought about this a lot. I'm like, with my, like, our little family and our friends, I'm like, we could have so much more fun in our little apartment than I would on an amazing vacation with the wrong people. But if it's the right people, then I actually want to go on an amazing vacation with the right people. But it's not a replacement.
Correct.
It's how can you have both? How can you do the little goodness, and then when you go on a trip, it's that. But if you do have this mindset of like, this is what I'm, bringing, this is what I'm contributing, but you haven't made that relationship so it would be special when you go somewhere, you're going to have the exact same relationship in another country than you did at home.
Correct. Yes. It won't, when I say it, not to say that these trips aren't amazing. Like I would love to go and take my family on these things, but if that's the only thing that you're aiming for, then that's the wrong aim. It's really about, am I connecting? Am I choosing to connect on a daily basis? And whether, there's people that I understand they have a lot to do in terms of whether they run their own business or whether they're traveling a lot. It doesn't mean that you can't take a few minutes out of your day, send a meaningful text if they're old enough to have a phone. Mine are not. Send them a meaningful text. That doesn't take very long, but it would still show daily connection that you want to connect with your family. A simple phone call, or just even when I get home, or I work from home, so it's not when I get home. When Christine gets home from work, the first thing we do right when she gets home is I tell the kids, we all run to mom and we just group hug. Let's just hug her and welcome her like it's the best thing ever that she's home. And so it's these daily sources of connection that you really need to look for. And there are so many moments in the day, and God gives us so many opportunities in a day to connect with your family. And so it's the choice of, am I going to take advantage of them, or am I going to let them slip by? And am I willing to really face the result of that decision if I choose not to?
But it is those daily deposits. There's that phrase like Disneyland dad, where they come in and everything's big and fun and cotton candy, but it's not like this kind of grounding portion too, which I think is important, because even as a dad, a lot of it is going to be this sweet moments, but it's going to be tough too. And I think of, Erin told me that Isley this morning, she had asked for some type of, I don't know, like bubbles or something. And he brought them to her and she goes, thanks, Dad. You're the best dad in the world. And she goes, but even if you didn't do this for me, you'd be the best dad in the world. And it's because I taught her before, when I'd bring her something, or like us as family, then she'd say, you're the best. And I would say, you know what? Even if I didn't do this for you, I'd still be the best mommy. And even if Dad didn't do this for you, he's still the best daddy. And so I feel like it's also like, it's not just what we're bringing to our children, like you're still a great dad sometimes in the moments that aren't giving them what they want. So how do you navigate those?
So we are currently in a stage with Parker, 12-year-old, going to be 13 in October, and we are battling the phone. Is now the time to get a phone? And we've had this conversation maybe even a year ago, and it simply can, for us, what we've found is it can't simply be no because I said so. That is, Parker does not take well to that. So how can I be a good dad while not saying yes? Well, what I did was I sat her down and I just asked her, can we just have a conversation about why you think it's necessary? And so she gave me all the reasons. And then I said, I didn't just answer right away. That's the thing. I think when you are in a position where you have to be the one to make a call, whether it's yes or no, try not to be heated in the moment, whether if it's something that you are passionate about or adamant about, give it some time. It doesn't have to be right there. And it doesn't have to be, I'll give you an answer a week from now. It could be, give me 15 minutes to just think it over. Give me some time, step away from it, think logically. And then that's when I have a discussion with Christine about, so these are the things she said as her reasons why she needs a phone. And then we started thinking about, well, here are the alternatives. And this is what she is allowed to do if she doesn't have a phone. And so we started brainstorming. And then I went back to Parker and I said, hey, I know that it's important to you, but I led with, so we are not going to give you the phone right now. And here are the reasons why. And then I talked about, you may think that it's important to you now for this reason, but let me give you just an outside perspective of, and then I told her, once we give you a phone, there's no taking that back. Once I allow you this responsibility, there's no taking that back. Whether we ground you and take your phone, it doesn't matter. You have already tasted what that feels like. Can you just do me, can you just try really hard and keep your childhood just a little bit longer for your dad? And I remember phrasing it that way. Just hold on to your childhood just a little bit longer. I was like, do you think you can do that? And then she just said, yeah, I guess. And so that said, sometimes the best parenting you can do is giving a healthy no. And I found that some of the best things that my dad ever did for me was protect me from things that I thought I wanted, and he said no to. And I was like, yeah, looking, fast forward your life, you look back 10 years ago and then you think, yeah, my dad really did protect me, or he kind of knew what he was talking about. And so it's just bringing that perspective to your kids now so that they can try to understand and better, to have a better reason than just no because I'm your dad, or no because I said so. That's like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and that's also such a helpful, I'm just here listening because, again, you and Christine are further along than me, so I soak this up. I'm serious. I read the book Anxious Generation, so I know how messed up phones can be, but I have not had a child asking me. I haven't had them, for a year, have all their friends do it. I'm not at that stage. I don't know how to handle it in a way to explain it. So even hearing this, I'm just letting it wash over me of pioneering a different era.
Yeah.
Our parents didn't have to do it with technology. They
Nope.
had different things, but this is so interconnected.
Correct.
And you're right, you can't take it back, but sometimes it is the no, but I also think that you have so many relational deposits that when you do make a withdrawal or something that'll upset the kids, it doesn't go into a deficit.
Yeah.
You're not overdrafting on your relationship.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. You're right. I'll say this. When you said emotional deposit, one of the things that I have found to be very impactful is to set aside time where you pray for your kid. with them in the room, just one-on-one, and you just pray. And I tell Parker, hey, I'm going to pray for you. It's going to be about 10 minutes. Don't say anything. This is not a time for response. I just want you to hear me pray. Is that okay? And then so, Christine will pray with Hudson in another room, and I'll pray with Parker. And for her to hear what is in my heart without me having to tell her, it's just like she's in this conversation with me and God, and she just gets to hear, has been powerful. I try to do this maybe 3 times a year for us, and I think that's a good pace. But for Parker to be able to hear what I want for her, what I pray for, what I worry about, what I hope for her life, she hears that, and then when I'm done, she's just, obviously, she's very emotional. Musical theater, she's in tears.
Musical theater.
She's in tears, and just like she'll hug me and she'll say, thanks, Dad, that was so great. And then the following day we'll switch, and then so now I'm with Hudson, and then same thing. To be able to pray for your kid is very powerful, and I'm not sure if that is common practice in today's parenting world, in Christian households. I'm not sure if you're not super intentional about it, I don't know if that happens.
And I'm going to ask this, and we can cut it if it's too intimate.
Okay.
What would you be praying about for the kids?
One, not too intimate. But I love praying for actually, it's not even praying for. What I lead with for them is thanking God for. So I thank God for Parker's, and then I start listing off all the things that I love about Parker. Like, God, thank you for Parker's just joy. Thank you for the happiness that she brings to people. Thank you for how empathetic she is to people's feelings. And so when hearing those things, she knows that I understand her. She knows that I see her, and that I see her behavior, and that I notice whether I'm calling. This is the time for me to call out all the great things that she's doing, is in that prayer time. And then what I pray for is just, God, would you use Parker in a way that is impactful to your kingdom? God, would you use Parker, use her talents, use her gifting in a way that pleases you and that brings joy to other people? So that's what I pray for specifically for Parker. For Hudson, it's, God, would you make Hudson into the leader that would, that people would respect, that people would listen to, and that would you make him someone that is just honest about how he feels, and praying for him to grow up and lead his family, his future family well. Because he talks about he's like, when I have kids, I was like, bro, you're 9.
You are a kid.
Yeah, but it's, praying into that. But first, the baseline is just thanking God for, and that's for them to be able to hear that is huge. And then praying for their futures is what I like to do.
I'm just thinking anyone listening is like, oh, now we know why you're the guest to talk about fatherhood. I think I'm just like, isn't he a great dad? But I think that's impactful because also it doesn't put a lot of burden on them.
No.
To have a response to you.
Correct.
Or to feel like they have to be the one to hold this for you. Mm-hmm. You're also like sending it up to God of like, I'm not putting this on your shoulders to have any type of reaction to it.
Yeah.
What I also find helpful is you guys are a 2-on-2 situation, just like us. So I like that you get to like switch off and it feels like the balance there. That's where we are in this. So like as another 2-on-2 family, what are other ways that you do that where it's like when you choose to do individual stuff, when you choose to do stuff as a family, like how are you deciding, like, even that, Parker going to you about a phone and
Mhm.
you go and confer with Christine. Like, I think that's so unique that you chose to have that conversation one-on-one. Like, why'd you do that?
Because, again, I think it's because I am sensitive to just the current trends in our household. And if you are on the pulse of what is currently going on in your home, for us, I understand that for these kind of things, having a 2-on-1 conversation about something that we will likely say no to is it's just not as well received as if it's a 1-on-1 conversation. And so we found that to be Parker's less defensive and more receptive of the news if it's just coming from one instead of, no, we both like. So that's why we did that. But also, it's not just that. There's a lot of things that we love to do together as a family.
Well, even that, though, like that concept of learning the one-on-one, I remember before Aaron and I had kids, we took a few couples out to dinner and we said, can we ask you about parenting? And one of them was Laura and Ricky. And we said, they're, incredible. And I asked, I was like, what advice do you have for us, like, as parents? And I remember Ricky, he said, of course there's going to be a united front of the spouses, but sometimes that can make the kid feel like just a triangle and out of balance, like everything's on them. He goes, sometimes it can be one person saying some information or hard news to a kid, and then the kid has the other parent to go and land on. And it's not that the other parent is like saying, yeah, they're wrong. It's a soft place where it doesn't feel like it's always just this heavy hitting of two people against one. And that kind of rocked my world because I always thought, you need a united front, mom and dad. What we say is going to be like you can't go to them and sway. But maybe the kids aren't needing to go to them to sway. They just need to go and say, I'm so disappointed. Dad said I couldn't have a phone and I know why. But, that helped me so much is like to not be afraid to have the one-on-one and then allow the other parent to be the safe, like, receptor of another one.
Correct. Yeah, that's so wise. And I love Ricky and Laura. And that is such a wise way to address tough issues, really. And we've tried to do that too. So that's why with the phone situation, it's really helped. Or any type of situation where it's going to be difficult for them to receive. But at the same time, we know that, like you said, having a place to simply go to say, I'm bummed. Well, that's okay. You can be bummed, and that's great because we're in this house. You can feel how you want, and we're not going to judge you for that. But yeah, like you said, it's a lot harder to say I'm bummed when the two parents are on this side of what they think is this like imaginary line. So yeah, you're right. It's great.
What else do you guys do as families? Because I love following you guys online because it feels like you're always hiking or Disney or golfing, or you guys do fun family activities.
So going back to why it's important to have just a safe space. When we go to Disneyland, you had mentioned Disneyland. When we go to Disneyland, it is in a themed family costume.
They are that family.
Yes, we are that family.
Yep.
That will go and look very ridiculous and just enjoy Disneyland.
Who started that?
I think Parker. Obviously, I think it's when she was young, she wanted to dress up as a princess. And so we would go in regular clothes and she'd just be a princess. And then one day, it was, I think, for Halloween, she said, can you guys do costumes around my princess thing for Halloween?
She needed background characters.
Yes, that's right. She can't be the only one. So,
every main character needs some sidekicks.
That's right. So that started. And then so we went, I believe, just trick-or-treating with that family costume. But then there was an opportunity to go to Disneyland again. And we just thought, let's just take those and let's just wear them. What can go wrong? And so it was the start of that. And then we thought, let's just make another costume for next year's. And then so we would try to go to Goodwill's and try to piece together costumes. We never thought, we thought buying them online was the easy way out. So we never did. We just tried to build them from scraps.
But that's so bonding,
Yes. And so
that's part of the memory.
Yes. And so that has been huge for us. And I say that when we are in that family, the reason why that's valuable to me is because it strengthens that that belief in our house that we as a unit are a safe space. You can go to Disneyland themed, and that doesn't make it any less uncomfortable for me as a full-grown adult going in a costume dressed like Rafiki or whatever, with face paint or any sort of costume. It doesn't make it less embarrassing, right? Because it still kind of is, but showing my family and being united in that it's okay. Like we can take ourselves, we don't have to take ourselves seriously all the time, and we can just enjoy doing something completely out of the box, very silly, and try to be okay in that space. And it's been great for us. We love it. Yeah.
I like it that it was Parker's idea too.
Yes.
Because it also feels like there's contributions of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kids can have an idea and now the whole family is going to go with it.
Yep.
It's not just like mom or dad
Correct.
coming up with something. It feels more collaborative.
Yes. Yeah. So that's been great for us. And we still try to go in costume, but I'm not sure when this phase will end.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope it doesn't end anytime soon.
I know many 40-year-olds doing that, so you may be in for life on that one, my bud.
I look forward to that.
Maybe Tweedledee and Tweedledum at 50 years old with grandkids.
Hey, that's the best.
Little Alice in Wonderland in a baby stroller.
So that has been huge for us, but also not just the grand. It's simple for us is all meals at home together around the dinner table, no distractions. That has been something that Christine has really wanted in our home. And it's been great for us to just, time to disconnect, time for us to just be together around a meal. Let's talk about each other's day. How are you? How was school today? How was basketball practice? All these things. It's been huge for us to be able to connect on a daily basis. And when I was talking about touch points for connection, that right there is a very simple yet profound for us way to just be together as a family.
I like that because we'll do something similar with our kids and their toddlers, essentially like 3.5 and 5.5. And so we'll do, what was your thumbs up of the day?
Love that.
And what was your thumbs down from the day? But talking about Parker's ideas and collaboration, Isley out of nowhere just goes, and my thumbs sideways. And then she shared something silly. So she invented that your thumb sideways is what silly happened that day. And then the thumbs backwards. Like she was just making this up. And now we do that where we'll just do all different directions and determine what it is. And so I think that's also sweet too of the unit. Each child that comes into your home changes the dynamic.
Yes. And
they're going to have a different spin and a different experience of it. And so I like that it's informed too of we're going to be here, we're going to be present, but it's also what's age appropriate?
Correct.
What can you actually recall from your day? And how long is your attention span?
Yes.
Because ours can be pretty quick.
Oh my gosh. I remember those days and they were so fun. Yeah. So just anything that allows your child, especially when they're younger, to express any sort of emotion is huge because it's a lot better than how was your day and you get nothing. That's what you don't want, right? So any sort of words to describe how they're feeling about that day is huge. The other things that out after dinner, we like to take after dinner walks. And so the four of us will walk, but then to further our conversation from dinner, we'll pair up. So in our walk, it's either some sort of combination of parent and kid, parent and parent, or whatever, and then you just chat as you're walking around the block. Just, what's going on? Are you doing good? Are you, and start asking all the other questions that you want. But that has been like such wonderful time, especially when the weather is cooperating. Then after dinner, then it's just, you just walk, and it's wonderful. It's a time to really unwind, but also another opportunity to connect.
What I'm hearing from you a lot too is like it's these deposits, these daily things. Like it's the consistency. It's not it doesn't have to be this huge gesture moment. Like it's the showing up and being present and attuned and involved, which I feel like I think you said it's not difficult. It does seem simple. Like when you put it that way, it feels really simple. It's, am I in this moment?
Correct.
With my family.
That's right.
And I like even because it's not always even parent and child. It's parent and kid and kid. So I feel like even sometimes an aspect of like great fatherhood is it's not all about you to the kids.
That's right.
You know, you don't rule my world. Correct. You're a huge part of it, but we were a family before you came.
That's right.
And so what does that look like of fatherhood, of tending to your wife outside of the kids?
That's a great question.
So I'm doing this closer out of nowhere because Albert and I took so long. We had to make this episode into 2. So wherever my producer is putting this, it's probably jarring and doesn't feel natural. And you're like, what? They were just mid-conversation. Why are you ending the episode? It's because this is now a 2-parter, and you can hear the second half in 2 weeks when I drop it, because we were just having such a great long conversation. It kept going, and we didn't want it to end. So I was like, we'll just cut it in half. So this is the end of the episode. Surprise. You can like, follow, subscribe at Haven the Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get access. You're already listening, so I'm sure you already have figured it out. But you can also follow on socials, Instagram, TikTok. I have little reels there. Other than that, I will see you as we continue this conversation about, are you a good dad, on the next episode.